What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening. I wanted to put this in the top of the show. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/Brennan Tassif. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com to get your ex-drinking buddy merch. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, we're coming to you live from Gotham Production Studios, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. There's going to be a graphic there. I am your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then later on reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but that is still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with people and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I will be joined by a guest. This week is no exception! From the Disastrous Pod, another crossover. Here we come. Amanda Lundy and Hannah Schmitt. Hey. What's up? How are you two doing?
Amazing.
Good. We're chilling.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for having us on, Brennan.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. Plug everything up front. Of course, the podcast,
Yes.
Disastrous Pod. Tell everybody what it's about.
Disastrous. Oh, I'm real bad at this. Disastrous is the podcast where we talk about whoopsies and daisies and whoopsie-daisies while we're at it. You can find us on just about everywhere you get podcasts.
Yeah.
And if we want to plug, Instagram, we're Disastrous Pod. TikTok, we're Disastrously Pod. Don't forget the LY.
Okay.
Facebook, we're Disastrous somewhere. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know how Facebook pages work. I don't actually know how you find us.
Who did it?
I don't.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did it?
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't even know how to log into Facebook. You're like,
I used to manage social media for a restaurant. Oh, no shit.
It's always, they always just get the youngest, like the younger
Oh,
people, and they're like, you can do it,
absolutely.
right? And they're like, yeah, of course.
sure, yeah.
No problem.
I'm just afraid, like, if I ever get on Facebook, that it's gonna be like tapping into my shit, and like it will record my thoughts and then like post them. Is that
Well,
how Facebook works?
no, but it does when you're like in middle school and you're on Facebook. So I was recently thinking about deleting my entire Facebook. So I went back because I wanted to maybe like archive everything.
Yeah.
And I
Especially
found
some of the pictures and stuff.
I found some incredible posts from like 2011.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, can you tell us one of them?
One was, why are there no new Glees?
I would like to know the answer to that question.
And then another one was like, it was definitely like a copy and pasted, like, it was like, that girl you bullied in whatever, she goes home and cries every night. That boy you da-da-da, he does this. And it's like, but it was Hogwarts specific.
Nice.
So it's like, that girl you called ugly in potions class, like, she and it's like, that
Are you a big Hogwarts? Are you a big Harry Potter fan?
I was. I mean,
Emo
in recent
Harry Potter.
years,
Yeah.
We've tapered.
Well, Amanda's been on the show before. Go back, and she has a bonus episode. So go back, subscribe on Patreon, listen to that.
Yeah.
You talked about getting hammered at a casino and getting kicked out,
Yep.
taking wine in bags to the beach.
Yeah, that happened too.
Just,
Just
that's
Ziplocs.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even bag.
it fits in the cooler better. That was the name of the episode,
Yeah,
I
you
think.
cannot fit a box of wine in the cooler, but you can take the bag out and easily fit it.
In a cooler.
It's just so easy. Why
But-
wouldn't you do it?
Hannah, you have not been on the show
I have
before.
not. Hello.
So tell everybody about yourself. How did you get into the podcast with Amanda? Why Disastrous? And real quick, because we kind of touched on it, but the podcast is about disasters.
Yeah.
Just like random disasters in history.
We talk about a lot of disasters through history. Our favorites tend to be ones in the 1800s and ones that like humans directly did.
Okay.
Because those are kind of easier to joke about.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without feeling too bad.
We do love it when the blame lands solidly on a man.
Oh, that's the best.
Really
Oh, it's delicious.
sweet.
That's got to be most of them, right? That aren't
Yeah.
natural. I mean, even the natural disasters, that's God doing it.
Oh, listen, don't even get us started on acts of God. Ooh.
The manliest man of them all.
Yeah. Oy.
Did you hear like the Catholic Church is changing God's pronouns?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They're changing it to them. Or like
No, they're
they
not.
instead of he?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They would never. I mean, I think they should, but they would never.
I'm just saying. I mean, this could be just not news. It could be like a tweet that I saw.
Fake news. It's the worst. The worst fake news.
Really good.
I swear it's terrible. All right, so let's talk about Hannah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you find Amanda? How did this happen?
Amanda actually posted on Backstage.
Okay.
Which you're an actor you're familiar with, but it's, like a,
Not back page, backstage.
Stage. Yes.
yeah.
Back page is where
And
Where you get all the good stuff.
escorts. If you know what I'm saying.
I think we know what you're saying by
Talking about escorts.
But actually, it was Brennan's idea because I was
Yeah, I
wanna
was
start-
just setting you up, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, are you gonna tell her? Should I tell her?
Well, I know how all this
secret that
happened, but I
we
want the
keep.
listeners to know how it happened.
So I was like, I really want to start podcasting again. He's
Yeah, you
like,
came on mine and you reinvigorated you for podcasting.
yeah, right. And he was like, dude, just put an ad on Backstage. And then he checked in with me a week later. He's like, did you ever put that ad out? And I was like, no. I'll do it right now. I do it right now.
And then I found
My
it as soon
depression
as
hit.
Yeah, exactly.
as soon as you put the ad up. I was like, "Is this it?" And I took a screenshot and I sent it to you. And you go, "Yeah, that's it."
That's it.
And so then you two found each
I
other
found it. We FaceTimed twice, and we were like, "This is good. This is fun."
because there was another person that you were talking
Some
to,
bitch,
and I was like,
some fake ass bit. I don't know this person.
"No," but it was just one of those things where she's like, "Yeah, a couple people reached out and I responded." And I remember it was a running joke because I think she flaked on you on one of the FaceTimes, and I did that. I was like, "Fuck that!" Like, you can't even get on a FaceTime before the show even starts. Fuck her. Fuck that.
Let's go to her house.
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, she lives in California." I was like, "Fucking road trip. Here we
Let's go.
And then you found Hannah.
Yeah.
And now, Hannah, what's your background as far as wanting to do the podcast and stuff? Like, why? What was your driving force to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I love podcasts. I've always been a podcast girly. I lived alone my senior year of college, and I just constantly had a podcast playing, just so the dark thoughts wouldn't creep in too much.
Absolutely.
Move, girl. It's the move.
What if you don't mind my asking? What year was this? Like, what are the podcasts you're listening to
Well,
at that time?
this was recent. I'm a little baby.
Okay.
I love How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some Jason Mantzoukas.
Oh my god.
What's
What's up, jerks?
Oh, he's the best.
He
But
is
a
the
lot of
best.
How Did This Get Made? A few Dungeons and Dragons podcasts.
I nod aloud. I'm like, yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
This is when I reveal myself as a big old nerd. She already
Sorry,
knew.
I mean, I am
I
too.
know I like it.
You already
People
knew I was
look
a
at
nerd.
me and they go, misogynist, homophobic from the South. And then they get to know me and they go, giant baby, just a giant nerdy baby.
Nerdy baby.
Star Wars is the greatest love story ever written. I stand by that.
Course. Yes.
Have you ever killed 6-year-olds for someone you love?
Oh, you mean that one?
Yeah, that
Okay.
one.
All right.
Trying to think.
It's like, I don't think so.
Still a lot of shit, man.
I mean, so then you guys start doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And what is your background? Are you in the theater or are you in?
Yeah, I'm a
okay.
theater. I'm an actor.
Okay. Actor.
An actrice, as some may say. Right now, I'm teaching little kiddies too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. They're not allowed to know about the podcast.
Oh, you haven't told them?
Oh, of course not. We curse so much.
We curse so much.
Do you
We
really?
cuss left, right, and center. My dad actually was like, I tried to listen to your episode about invasive species, but you just said fuck so much. He didn't say fuck. He was like, you just dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah. So we've tried to
Tone it down for
tone
Dominic.
it down a little bit. Yeah.
That bites me in the ass a lot too.
Yeah.
Because I have family that'll listen to the podcast through no fault of my own. Like I was just like, yeah, just subscribe and rate it, and then you never have to listen to it again.
Yeah,
Just
don't
give me
listen to
the
it.
just give me the subscribe, rate, and review. But then I've had guests on, and as a host, you have to kind of be a chameleon. Where when you have
Match
different
the
guests on,
vibe.
where you got to be like, okay, yeah, match the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had guests. I was a college athlete. Like I've been around the block or two, and rehabs and jails and stuff. So sometimes I have guests on, and they're talking about like hookups and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, man. And then I'll go into hookups, and then I'm like, fuck, my grandma listens.
Oh no. She knows all my disgusting
Whoopsies.
secrets.
That's gross. But you guys just cuss, so that's not too bad.
I think we just cuss.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think once
Have
I
you
talked
ever-
about doing shrooms, but
Well, in
they
the
already
wedding.
knew about that.
The wedding thing too.
Oh yeah, well I have a lot of family in Kentucky. We went to 2 weddings down there this year. which like being in Kentucky, it just takes something out of you. But now my cousin who is
Who's now
part
an
of that
avid
family,
listener.
like is in his rotation now.
Oh God, that's awesome.
I don't think my grandma knows how to listen to podcasts, and I'm like, don't tell her.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
That's a
Don't look at
secret
that
for
little
us.
purple button on your phone. It
also
doesn't do
think
anything.
I also think that a lot of times people will listen, because we were talking about this before we got on, but a lot of people will listen to the clips and then go, oh, I listened to your podcast. Because I have said some things on my podcast where, and I know certain people listen because it's gotten back to other people where I'll get like a text like, hey, watch what you say about blah, blah, blah. But then I have other people where I'm like, oh, if they actually heard a full episode, they would not be happy with the subject matter and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, they're just listening to the clips, because there's no way that I wouldn't be getting a text or a phone call when they're like, what do you mean you've done heroin?
Are you okay? And you're like, I've done the rehab thing. Like I went through
I'm
it.
past all that. But so I love having both of you on. I like doing these crossover episodes. One, because you have the Disastrous Pod. But two, Amanda said that she had a story, ex-drinking buddy related, that she was going to share.
I do.
And is it about you, or is it in the vein of Disastrous, where it's about an event that happened?
It is in the vein of Disastrous. It is about an event. So for our
I didn't know that beforehand. That was just me
this
being
is brand new to
Yeah.
to Brennan. So on the Disastrous Podcast, Hannah and I, like she said, will go through events in history, and we will kind of write up a story,
A book report.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
a nice little cute book report, and some horrible, gnarly things happen. But yeah, like we take in all these sources and we kind of put it all into a nice little
Digestible kind of format.
a little tale, if
All
you
right.
will. So I do have something for you. Hannah knows some of it. I have the whole thing,
Okay.
if that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Take
You
it
guys
away. What is it?
Y'all want to jump into it?
Yeah. I'd love to know
Regale
about
us
this.
with a tale.
Oh, yes. And feel free to, as we do on our podcasts, like have me wait, explain stuff, most of which I won't be able to, and then we will keep going.
We have a bit of cheeky banter.
It's cheeky banter, and
We have a bit of chat.
Yep. Right, Papa Fit. Yeah, you like it.
On paper, he's my type.
He's my type.
100%.
Ted Lasso's coming back. I'm excited about that.
March 15th. Girl, you think I don't know?
Never watched all of it.
What?
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
That's important.
Okay, I'll do it next.
Ted Lasso is one of my favorite shows, and it's because after playing sports my whole life, I'm like, if I had a coach like him, I'd fucking kill I'd run through a wall.
Yeah, you would follow him through the gates.
Because I've had coaches where they're like get fired up, find whatever you gotta find, and like they get like super hyped.
Yeah.
And I do like those coaches. I'm like, yeah. And then I've also had coaches, like my coach in college was very much like, yeah, like this is our job. Let's go out there and play.
Yeah.
And he was older and stuff. But Ted
a-
Lasso is
but
like
a
the
coach
perfect
that, like,
combination of
grabs you by the heart and is just, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
you want to play for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's gently
Because
inspiring.
we're talking about practice, but you can't do it because you're hurt. Oh, it's so good.
Give me goosebumps. All right. Okay.
So what is this? What happened?
So the story I'm going to be telling today is about 10-cent beer night. So this is would you say like a relatively like well-ish known story?
I have not heard of it.
I've only heard it because it was on a podcast I used to listen to years and years ago.
Okay.
So I heard it there.
Well, so some of my sources were like Weird History YouTube, ESPN YouTube. The Dollop does an episode on this. It's
Hey,
That's the
we
one I
love the
listen
dollop.
to.
yeah, dude, it's like,
Oh, I was gonna say don't promote another podcast, but we love the dollop here.
we do love the Dollop, and it's the Dollop's like 15th episode, so
Really?
it's like
Yeah.
really
That's
early
Gareth,
on.
right?
Yeah, Gareth
Yeah,
Reynolds
yeah.
and Dave Anthony. Yeah,
Huge shout out,
So-
Gareth Reynolds, Dave Anthony.
amazing. So,
You guys are more than welcome to come on the show whenever you want.
and sit on this couch with me and Hannah. We'll
All
Oh,
of us
yeah,
will
do a
snuggle.
foursome?
we'll snuggle. Yeah, foursome. Let's
Foursome, fivesome.
go. So, setting the scene.
Speaking of Backpage,
1970s Cleveland. Thousands of workers are unemployed because 600 factories have shut down in the last like 2 or 3 decades.
so this is the Rust Belt era, going into the Rust Belt era. Well, no, because the 70s, because Cleveland was a big
Rust Belt was a location.
No, but I'm saying the reason it became the Rust Belt was because in the Midwest it was a
factories.
big source for automotive factories.
Oh, and everything rusted.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but in this,
It's like the Bible Belt is like where all the
Bibles are
churches are.
Oh, okay. I was
But-
like, I thought it was like a long road that you just walk down with your Bible sack and you just
Your stick and satchel with your Bibles
it's just
in
got
it.
your Bibles in it, and then you just hand them out. Look, I don't know, man. All right, you tell me. What
Oh
it
my
is.
God. I think there was a cult on the train I took to get here.
What?
There was a cult on the train.
I don't
you took
know
to
for
get?
sure. But
Side note, we'll come back to 10-cent beer night.
This is a big side story. But there were these two like fairly young, like conventionally pretty looking girls coming up to people and going, "Hey, we're going to church on Sunday. Are you coming with us?"
I can't believe you said that because
No.
I went down to the Q train on Saturday and these two, I was in a suit because we went to Matt Fulcheron's wife's birthday party and he was like, dress up. So I was like, any excuse to wear a suit. So I put my suit on and I go downstairs and I'm waiting. I'm like about to walk down to the Q train and these two traditionally attractive young
Like,
men
oh.
came up to me and said, hey, do you want to go to church with us tomorrow?
Yeah. That's like their vibe. It's like, hey, we're going to church. Like they
Yeah.
just, like, are so excited about church. And I was like, this doesn't feel awesome.
Well, so I was like,
feels-
I was like, no, man, but thank you. And he goes, nice suit. And
Yeah,
I was
they
like,
complimented me too.
Yeah.
They were
Oh,
like,
so he didn't really
"You're
like my
very
suit."
Pretty. Your makeup looks great. And I know my makeup looks great, so I think it was
Yeah, yeah,
genuine.
yeah.
So the
I
suit
think
could
it
have
You
been
have
genuine
sparkles
too.
on, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It does
It's
look great.
really easy. You just put sparkles on and people compliment you.
We should try that.
So
Brennan,
cults.
We should try that.
We should. Do you want to do it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm down.
I'll wear it to work.
Yes. Okay. All right. Should we go back?
Yeah, so I'm just the reason I was confused was because you said the 1970s, and I think manufacturing was still in a big boom in that era in the 1970s. But now you're saying a lot of the factories had closed, so I could just be getting my timelines mixed up. According to your research, a lot of factories had closed by the 70s.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So according to my research, which 600 factories in Cleveland had closed.
Holy shit, that's like all of Cleveland.
That's all of Cleveland. Like that's so.
That's so many
Got to
factories.
be every building. So there was high unemployment, high drug use, crime, all of the things that come along with poverty, kind of turned Cleveland into a powder keg. And to boot, all of the pollution from the factories had leaked into the Cuyahoga
There you go.
Cuyahoga River, and the river was literally on fire.
I have heard of that.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? So they're like 5-story high, like smoke and flames, and Cleveland was just like that. But
Cool.
Yeah. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
seriously, and they're just like, yeah, this is just how we live
Mad Max, Cleveland Road.
for real. And the Cleveland Indians sucked.
Mhm.
Like they were just like bad.
Now the Cleveland Guardians, but back then the Cleveland
Exactly.
Indians.
The problematic.
Ooh, when did they change their name?
Like 2 or 3 years ago.
Years ago, yeah.
Oh, around Redskins time.
Yep. Washington football team, yeah.
Which I'm so pissed they went to the Commanders. Washington football team was like a dope ass name. I'm not even being sarcastic.
No,
I was like, that's
I
kind of fucking G.
Agree.
To be like, oh, you're the Jaguars, you're the Lions, you're the this, you're the that. We're the football team.
That's so cute.
Yeah, that's so cute.
The Panthers? Oh my God, adorable. We actually
adorbs.
run shit.
We're just the football
We
team.
do our jobs.
I
So
think we talked about this on a different episode,
think
what
we
we would
did
have
too.
called them.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like the Swamp Boys.
That's right. The Swamp Boys. I think that'd be just
the
adorable. and-
Washington fake news is. I just like doing the
Fake
Trump impression.
Newtons?
Fake news is news.
Oh,
I thought you said Fig Newtons.
I like
I've been
fake
trying.
names more.
2024 is coming out, so I've been trying really hard to bring back my Trump impression.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's running again, so
Yeah.
put your boots on.
Yeah.
So,
sorry. Give me a second to have an existential crisis. All right, and I'm back.
He's
You're
not.
just
He's
now
not
find it
gonna.
out.
He's not gonna win. He's going against.
That's what we all said in 20.
Yeah, but
whatever
now
ago.
he's going against my boy in the Florida South, baby. DeSantis coming at. What if I was?
I was like, what the fuck are you
If I was
talking
that
about?
Amanda, where did you bring me?
I know. I was like,
what if I was that hyped about it?
to just take off my headphones. I'm like, I gotta.
Oh my good lord!
So, as a
You're a
comic, that is one, and you guys as podcasters understand this, but that's one thing that can get you in trouble sometimes is you do a bit, and then people laugh, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing the bit, and then they don't know that it's like I do the Trump impression at work, and then people will laugh, so I'll just keep doing it. And they go, wait, is Brennan like a huge Trump guy?
Yeah. If you do a bit too much, people start to like look at it differently.
Yeah,
and
they're like, oh, that's just who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait.
Well, so
The greatest.
Cleveland's on fire. The Indians suck. What better time to sell cheap beer, right?
Yeah. So is this at Indians game, I'd assume?
I'm going to tell you all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, come down, please.
Yeah. It's like, just Ron DeSantis, it back.
To quote my ex, I'm just being a little premature, you know what I'm saying?
Of course, we know what you're saying, Brennan.
That's just a joke.
You know what I mean?
Back page.
This is the one you need to clarify.
Yeah,
as a joke.
this is a bit. I'm doing a bit. That was never an issue. In fact, the opposite. You know?
You know what I mean?
Can we just wrap this up and get it over with?
Methinks he doth protest too much.
I know. Say it again and we'll believe you. So,
The opposite. It was
6 days before the infamous 10-cent beer night, the Indians were hosted by the Rangers in Arlington Stadium in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like late May. In the fourth inning of that game, Cleveland player John Lowenstein stepped on third and threw to second, but there was a hard slide, which I'm not really sure what that means, but it feels like it's a little too aggressive, from Ranger Lenny Randall.
So Cleveland's on defense. Lenny Randall's running from first to second, hard slide, or second to third, hard slides into third.
Hard slide. So in the eighth inning, Cleveland pitcher Milt Wilcox wanted to send a little message to Lenny Randall.
Tune him up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's called chin music, which I didn't know that's what it's called. So when you throw it really close to their head, it's called chin music. I'm like, oh, that's an adorable name for something very aggressive and dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous.
Super dangerous.
Later on, Shawn Michaels, the infamous wrestler, the Heartbreak Kid himself, his finishing move would be called sweet chin music.
Really?
Yeah, where he would get everybody going and then kick you in the face.
Oh, I thought he would like do the elbow drop, but with his chin.
Oh, no. He'd kick you in the face. But yes, more chin music, as it were.
I hate that for him. Okay, so basically Lenny Randall bunted. Wilcox grabs the ball, goes to tag Randall, and then Randall forearms him.
Oh, okay. That's not allowed.
I guess not. Can you explain to us what that is?
That's the whole setup?
No, like what a forearming is.
Yeah, a forearm is where you just...
Oh, you just...
shit.
hit him with your forearm.
Oh,
So
so
it's
it's like
a clothesline.
Clothesline is there.
Yeah.
sure exactly what the...
Yeah, so if you give someone a forearm, we call it a 2-piece and a biscuit. You give them 2 pieces and a biscuit.
Is that chicken?
Yeah, it's
Or escorts again.
It's a reference to chicken.
Okay, cool.
I don't hit escorts.
What?
Why would you insinuate such a thing? I would never do that.
We always think you're referring...
I wouldn't do that at all, ever.
Well,
see what I'm doing?
Say
the
it
bit
again.
about the
Methinks he doth
there,
protest.
there we go. Hey,
Yeah, I got you.
Call that a callback.
So, Lenny Randall...
I really don't hit people.
No, he doesn't.
Unless they ask me to.
And then I'm more than happy to.
Yeah.
So, first baseman comes over and just punches Lenny Randall.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not allowed.
Yeah, the forearm, not allowed. But then the first baseman is like, I guess we're doing this. And he just comes over.
That happens a lot in baseball because they're not real athletes. So they have
need
to
to get it out somewhere.
They have
need
to
get their aggression out.
Yeah, they have to like flare.
Well, and so like a full brawl
Yeah.
ensues, right? There's punches thrown, and they land. And the Texas fans are pouring like beer and throwing food and stuff like that, right? Well, Texas manager Billy Martin was asked, like, do you think there's going to be any retaliation next week when you guys
play
are in Cleveland? And he was like,
Playing the same team.
Yeah. And he's like, no, they don't have enough fans for it to be a problem.
What?
Oh, shit.
Ooh, okay. I was like, shots fired.
Down
Bang,
goes the gauntlet.
Yeah. So new rival mode initiated. So cut to 6 days later, it's 10-cent beer night. And this
So
is...
does you might not have this on your research.
Yeah.
Does Cleveland do this to get as many people in the stadium as possible?
Yes.
Bingo, bango.
Had they
Yes.
done a 10-cent beer night before?
I think they had done like promotions similar to this
Okay.
previously.
But Billy Martin wasn't far off because they had to do 10-cent beer night to fill the stadium.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong.
That's exactly right. So, it literally is about to say right here. So June 4th, 1974, the Cleveland Indians
Oh, that's my sister's birthday.
Oh, 1974. you old. No, I'm so sorry.
What was that, 39?
No, just June 4th.
49?
Somebody that was born in 74?
Yeah.
It's like 50.
49. Because it's 23.
Right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. Sorry, I'm a woman. I actually can't do math.
I was like, math? I didn't know.
I honestly
we have
like.
dumb little woman brains.
Yeah, I was like, that's a hard pass for us. Thanks.
They said it.
So, Cleveland.
I mean, me and DeSantis would agree, but
Yeah, well, of course you would. So,
Besties.
like I said, Cleveland sucked at the time.
Yeah.
And so they would get like 12 to 13,000 fans for an average game. Well, they had 25,000 this time.
it blows my mind when they're like, "Oh, they don't have enough fans." It's like that's 13,000
That's
people.
still a lot of
That's
people.
a lot
Can
of
you
people.
imagine 13,000 people watching you doing something?
Oh my god, I can only hope.
Yeah, sell out MSG.
Yeah, that's 18 or 22.
Yeah? Nice. Well, so they had 25,000 fans.
What? Why did you?
I just didn't know how big MSG was. That
Yeah, it's
feels
like-
small. Like
18.
I know,
if
you
we
would
can
guess it
pack
to be
a
bigger.
stadium with like 25,000.
So outdoor stadiums for outdoor sports are naturally bigger because the field is bigger. So the circumference around it is bigger. So like
Makes sense.
baseball actually has some of the bigger stadiums. Football has some of the biggest. Like college football, it's funny because people think college football and they think, well, it's not as popular as the pros, which they could be right. But in the South, well, you know,
It's
from Kentucky,
more
SEC
popular, I
country.
feel like.
Yeah, there's stadiums that hold, I think the biggest stadium in the NFL is like 89,000. There's stadiums in college that hold 130.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and they sell out. Like you'll see like max capacity 130, attendance 133.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that
I
like,
played in stadiums like that. It's deafening.
But also, should we be paying college players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Check out Cheers from the Press Box. We have a whole discussion about this.
Yeah.
I got 8 concussions and no healthcare to prove it.
Yeah. Good for you, man. So proud of you.
So what happens? No fans, 13,000 people.
So they normally have 12 to 13,000 people, but 10-cent beer night, 25,000. And
Still didn't fill that stadium.
Not quite, but there were 50 security guards. And
For 25,000
Yeah.
people?
yeah.
and
We
as
see this
we know, that's
happen a lot.
not enough.
No, it's not enough. And Hannah actually did an episode. It was disco demolition. I think.
Yes.
Similar problem. Bunch of people like are in there being rowdy, and they had like
They had like 20
What is
security
disco
guards.
demolition?
Oh, disco demolition is really fascinating. A ton of,
What year is this? What
I think it must have been the 70s.
70s.
Okay.
When disco was like big,
Yeah.
and there was a like shock jock radio guy who was like, "Fuck disco, this stuff sucks," and we're like, "Is this rooted in anti-blackness a little bit?"
Yep.
And so at a baseball game, they were gonna blow up a ton of disco records, and
I always think that's hilarious because you have to buy the records to blow them up.
yeah. So you're kind of supporting the artist.
Yeah.
But there were people inside the stadium going crazy, and then also there were people outside the stadium who were like, "Oh, we couldn't get in. Let's just start our own fires and
Oh,
blow
wow.
our own records."
Burning cars and shit.
So they had to like divert half the security outside the stadium. God. Yeah.
So what happens in Cleveland?
Listen to Disastrous.
Yeah,
for
I was
more.
gonna say, listen to the whole thing, and you
I need my notes.
Catch up on our
Everything
episodes.
leaves my brain immediately.
as soon as I'm done. So the drinking age is 18. You got 25,000 like young people. In
Yeah, and they're trash people. They're from Cleveland.
I was like, take note, Cleveland, and email Brennan about it.
Yeah.
So
I can say that. My whole family's from Ohio.
you could get a bleacher seat for 50 cents. So all in for $1, you
Five
could get
beers.
5 beers and a bleacher seat. So
That seems unhealthy.
it really does, doesn't it? And they're like, how could this be bad?
It's probably like a healthy pour too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this
It's
is
not
the
like
70s.
nowadays
It's not
when
where it's
they're
8
like-
ounces.
These
yeah.
are 12-ounce beers.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay.
Yes. So these are 12-ounce beers. And there was since it was the 70s, there was no way to really see how much each person was buying, but there was a 6 beer per order per person limit.
Okay.
So Hannah just walks up and she gets her 6 beers and she walks away.
But then Amanda, who's sitting with me, also comes
I
and
go
gets her
up.
6 beers.
We chug all of our beer. We go get in line. We get our 6 beers. We
So
come
it's
back.
per order, so you could just keep doing it.
Oh,
You just keep doing it.
absolutely.
And that's what people were doing. So there was just like no control over how much people could buy or drink or whatever. So early
And you said the drinking age was 18 at the time?
18. So the crowd was a lot younger.
Yeah. How old were you when you started drinking?
Oh, probably like 15 or 16.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
we talked about it on your episode. You were around the same age, weren't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Well, I think the first time I had a drink, I was like 9.
Yeah.
Because I was at a wedding and my sister was like, here, drink some of Dad's Coke. And it was a rum and Coke.
Yeah.
And then I woke up in prison.
And then once I was in Costa Rica and we were on a catamaran and this guy came up to me and was like, Sunset Special. And I was like, I'm 14. And he was like, Sunset Special.
There you go. There's a lot
Okay.
of pineapple in it.
I was like, I guess I'll drink the Sunset
Those
Special.
Hawaiian, or not Hawaiian, those like island drinks are very, those will sneak up on you. And the hangover is always so much worse because
About the sugar.
the sugar.
Yeah. I think one of the best drinks I ever had was I was like 17, 18 on vacation in Jamaica. And it was like pineapple, orange juice, mango, whatever
Yeah,
in
that
it. But it
sounds
had
delicious.
like a shit ton of rum in it.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of them and I was like, I feel great.
You woke up the next day like, I think I'm going to
I
die.
think I'm going to die. Well, I think I had like 2 or 3 of them because like,
That's still so much. That's like literally chugging sugar.
But I mean, you're 18. You're not getting a hangover.
yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing too is there's a very funny comic, Jack Napier, shout out, Daytona comic, but he has this really funny bit where he talks about, he goes, I didn't really understand sugar until I started doing cocaine.
What?
Wait.
I didn't really understand like how bad sugar was for you until I started doing cocaine. And then you look at like the back of a box of cereal and you're like 28 grams of sugar.
I get it.
Do you know how much 28 grams is? So much sugar.
That's like a brick of sugar.
Yeah.
It's a kilo of sugar.
But yeah, so that always makes me laugh.
That is
But it's
funny.
the same thing with alcohol. And that's the thing is when you get sober, you always get a really bad, most people get a really bad sweet tooth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because you're taking away all the sugar. Even if you drink something that's not very sugary, there's still, the fermentation process creates sugar. That's where the alcohol comes from. So there's sugar in all of it. So back to, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent.
No. I really want you to explain to us like a second fermentation process or something like that.
So in the secondary fermentation process.
Yeast eats the sugar.
So that's how
Yeast eats the sugar.
That's exactly right. I stand by it.
in prison, that's how they make Pruno, which is prison wine.
It's literally
Just
called
like sugar.
Pruno.
Yeah, so they just no. You take fruit, you take a lot of fruit and like mash it up,
Yeah.
mix it with water, and then you put it in like a plastic bag, and you put that into the toilet and let it just sit for days and days and days.
Sorry, really quickly. How do you use the toilet?
Well, it's in a plastic bag.
Yeah, so
So you
just pull
shit
it out
around it?
and
Oh,
then-
okay.
Oh, it's probably in the back of the toilet, right?
No. There's
it's in
no
the bowl?
back of the toilet. You're
Oh,
so
that's
cute.
true. That's a good point.
Says someone who's never been to prison.
Yeah.
There's no back of a
She's like,
toilet.
I don't know.
It's a straight pipe situation.
Ah, shucks.
And also, fun fact: what you can do is you can flush the toilet because all the pipes are interconnected because it's a straight pipe, and you can communicate with the people above and below you.
So would you play like little songs for each other? Be like, ding,
Well, when I was in Duval County, it was the female floor was above us,
And you
so
would like flirt.
they would flirt. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh,
You have to be in there for a long time to figure out how the system works.
okay, gotcha.
But
Wait,
yeah, they
so
had it.
like, what would they do when they were trying to flirt with you through the pipes?
Hey, let me get that booty hole, girl.
Oh, they would say that to you?
No, not to me. I'm saying that's how they would flirt.
Oh, I'm confused about.
So
What
the
you
guys
were-
in my cell
Would
would flush
shout
the
up.
toilet and then shout up through the pipes to the female floor.
Got it.
Hey, girl, let me get that booty hole.
Gotcha. I thought the girls were like shouting down to you.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then the
they would
girls
shout
were
down
like,
too.
Oh my god.
And they were like,
What a gentleman.
you can't handle this booty hole.
Nice.
No, I don't.
It's like, I'll rip your dick off or something.
I killed my last boyfriend. That's how much I love.
I love you so much.
Just want to cut your throat and bathe in it. All right, we got
That's
off
true
track.
love.
Where did we start?
Kim is the
like-
greatest love song ever written.
Stop it.
Stand by it. I stand by that. Have you ever heard Kim
Yeah, of
by
course.
Eminem? You've never heard Kim?
I think I probably have
It's
when
where
I
he
was
cuts her throat.
way
at the end
too
of it.
young to hear Kim.
I
I listened to a lot of Eminem when I was very
Hell
young.
yeah, high five. Let's do it. I love
That is
Eminem.
An
formative
older
music.
brother vibe, you know.
Eminem, I still, and Marshall, you're more than welcome to come on the show whenever you want. Well, we're both sober. He's got
Really?
11 years.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, you got to do it for Haley.
Well,
He
Haley's
had to do it for
adorable.
himself, which he talks about in Not Afraid, the song. He had to do it for himself, but probably did it. I think the line is, I did it for me, but subliminally, I probably did it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because you helped me become a brand new me. Something I forget the line.
TM.
All right.
We're dropping bars. We're dropping
I know.
bars.
I was like, can we sing a song on this show?
Did it for me.
together?
Yeah. All right. 1,
Little
2, 3.
musical
Hit it. I could get down with some musical improv.
Me.
I know how to beatbox a little bit. It's like.
Oh, shit.
Okay, we're off track. Let's get back to disaster. This is a disaster.
Spitting all over the mic. Listen. So
50 security guards,
Yep.
6 beers per person
6
per
beers
order.
per person. Early in the game, the Texas Rangers had a 5-1 lead.
God, the Texas Rangers were
I
putting
know.
it on them.
So, but before the first pitch was even thrown, people were like going
Wasted.
for it. They
Yeah.
were getting after it. So
You could literally order 6 beers, stand to the side, chug 6 beers, and then just get back in line.
yeah, and that's what people were doing. They weren't even going back to their
So
seats.
funny.
So, like, Brennan, has there been a time where you're like, oh, this is what we're doing, and you just like buckle in
Yeah.
to like, and then 2 drinks and just
Every day that I would drink.
yeah, you're like, we're going for
We're
it.
good. Yeah, every time. It's probably why they said I had a problem. Couple of things that pop out to my head. When we played in the New Orleans Bowl, we were on Bourbon Street, and shocking, a lot of the bars didn't check IDs. Like if you show up as a big group of these college athletes, they'll just let you in because they know more people are going to come to like hang out with the athletes.
Yeah.
So they just let us all in, and you had to be 21 to get into the bar. So the bartenders aren't IDing people.
Yeah.
So that was one where I was like, oh, we're fucking going.
Yeah, let's do this, guys.
And I think it was a cop on Bourbon Street, like was told one of our teammates, he was like, because we were walking around with like those hand grenades and stuff, and he goes,
Yeah.
why don't you guys just buy a bottle and walk? Because you can open,
yeah.
you can have open containers.
Carry?
Yeah.
Shit.
Well,
Well, in 2 ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
can open
in,
carry and open carry.
And open carry.
in New Orleans, there is no open container laws, so you can just walk around with like a bottle and drink. And then so
Yeah.
one of the cops told one of our teammates, they're like, "Why are you getting these sugary drinks? Like, just go get a bottle and drink it." And
And
The
Brennan's
cop
like,
was like, don't be a pussy.
yeah, don't be a little bitch.
sack up.
So yeah, that was one. And then there's a couple other times like when I came back to visit from college and I thought I was hot shit, where I was like, oh, we're getting after it.
Yeah.
And you just start throwing up like 2 hours in, and you're like, oh. And it's that violent throw up because I've given myself alcohol poisoning a lot. So it's one of those things where it's like you can't take it back. Like once it absorbs into your system, you're
yeah,
poisoned.
yeah.
Like that's like literally that's how you get alcohol poisoning, and you're poisoned.
You're
So-
like, I guess I just eat bread.
yeah, so you just know, like
Not
I would
really.
like violently, like it was like projectile, like would be vomiting. And I talk about this in the one man show, but then it gets to a point where you have to drink alcohol to try and settle your stomach. But then you just keep throwing up. Oh, that's yeah.
Well,
So
I was
I've
gonna say, like, you could try to eat bread, but then you just vomit it back up.
as
Like,
soon
it
as
doesn't matter
something
if it's, like-
touches your mouth, you immediately just have a gag
Yeah.
reflex.
yeah,
Because your body's like, get everything out now.
yeah.
My problem in college was when I would get stoned, and then I'd be like, I don't know how drunk I am because I'm also stoned.
That cocaine did that to me in like college and post college.
The cocaine did that to me.
Well, the problem with cocaine is
yeah, I was like, why are you saying it like that?
I don't know. The problem
Cocaine nibs.
The problem with it for me was the fact that even if it was really shitty cocaine, it would still like amp you up. So you had no bearing. So all the work I did trying to figure out where my tolerance was the 5 years previous was just out the window. So you would wake up with the most extreme hangovers
Yeah.
because you're feeding your body more booze because you can take it because of the cocaine. But then you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh, I think I'm going to, like, there was one point I was so hungover after the first time I got alcohol poisoning where I couldn't even turn my head. Like, I literally turned my head and then just throw up because,
Oh
like,
my
just
God.
that little motion, I was like,
had
It's like
"Whoa."
the vertigo with it.
Yeah.
I've totally had that.
Yeah,
Where
where
you're
you're
like, I cannot move from this one spot.
Yeah, you literally just can't move.
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway.
Have you ever been so dehydrated from drinking that you can feel it in your body when you drink water?
Of course.
I sometimes am just so dehydrated.
I was
Just
gonna
in
say,
general,
I
just in
think
life?
that
I'm like,
just happens.
water tastes delicious.
I've had it before where
It's different sometimes, you know?
I've been
It's like,
so hungover or so dehydrated that I've chugged water and I can literally feel like cooling in my hands
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, I was so dehydrated. There was
Yeah.
nothing
it's
in
like
me.
going through your bloodstream.
Yeah, you can feel it. That's,
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Well, let me tell you, these people were feeling it the next day for sure. Chugging beer, but this is really the best part because this is just normal binge drinking, right? It's America's pastime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in Cleveland.
Yeah, right? The city's on fire. What else are you going to
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's nothing.
Have a good time. But shenanigans of the nudist variety commence.
Nice.
Yeah.
You wrote that line down, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. That's a good line. That's why I was like,
There are a few times I'll like write a joke and I'll be like, ooh, it's coming up.
Yes. I said it exactly how I wrote it.
nailed it.
This included a woman coming down onto the Indians on deck circle, flashing her breasts and trying to kiss the head umpire.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, girl, shoot your shot. And so
Get you some. Back page.
a naked man ran onto the field and slid into second base.
Nice.
So they've lost control of this entirely.
Oh, this is just the tip.
So right now, because we're at just the tip, right now, are the players still playing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're playing throughout the whole thing. The streakers, the flashers, Grieve hits his second home run as like a streaker is sliding into second base. He's got one sock on and like a security guard is holding his other sock. What?
Do they get to count two? If that guy runs home?
That's a great follow-up question. I might have to dive back into that. But
Can that man count for a point?
a father and son duo got down on the field and mooned the Rangers outfield and then the fans,
That's bonding.
Yeah, that's
just
really cute.
Yeah, it's just good old-fashioned fun. So the streaking, mooning, flashing, all of that was a big part of this game, but not even close
Okay.
to like
Are the police there at this point?
We have the 50 security guards.
No, I know we have them, but at some point when people start breaking laws, you have to call the police in.
That's a great point, Brennan.
Thank you.
And we will definitely get there. So at some point, the 50 security guards stop trying to
Yeah, just let them go.
secure. And the inmates are running the asylum now. But it gets
It's like a virus. You just have to let it burn itself out.
Yeah. That's what we should do with COVID. Everyone stop getting vaccinated, take off your masks.
That's a
and
great
just
idea.
breathe
I think
into each
that's the
other's
greatest
mouths.
idea I've ever heard.
I'm telling you, I'm not vaccinated, and
It's the
I told
greatest.
my husband I would leave him if he got vaccinated. Y'all, I'm not even kidding about this. Follow me on TikTok.
I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse.
I'm a registered nurse, and I gave people placebo shots. Yeah, I did that. You're
Hell
welcome.
yeah.
You're welcome, America.
It's all fake anyway. The fuck's going on?
I'm not getting a magnet in my arm.
Seriously.
I heard one of the things that I did hear that was fascinating, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Because, you hear all this echo chamber and all this noise and stuff online. And there was a former military guy, I think it was Green Beret or something, like it was Special Forces.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, we can't even track where we are in the field when we're doing missions because it's so covert. You can't use like a lot of heavy radios and stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, if we had the ability to put micro trackers into people, he goes, you're out of your fucking mind?
Dude, that's what I said. Like when people are like, "Oh, there's a tracker," and I'm like, "You mean the needle that I saw that went into my arm?"
That was when a former special ops guy was like, "I wish we could track where we were." Do you know how many times I've shot at my own guys because we just didn't fucking know? I was like, "Yeah, he's
good point.
Good point.
Making a lot of good points. He's like, "We could use that.
Yeah."
We really could."
And why would they care about what we're? It's like my ex used to say it all, or not my ex. I'm sorry. My sister says it all the time. She goes, "You better not write a bit about this." And I'm like, "Why would I?"
Not that funny.
Yeah, it's not that interesting. And then when people are like, they're trying to track us, it's like, for what, John?
So they can watch you go home and go to work.
Yeah. So you go to Planet Fitness?
Seriously.
On pizza night? Like, nobody fucking cares what you're doing, John.
Well, I think Hannah and I have had that discussion where like I'll make a joke about killing someone to like my brother or my dad or something. And my dad's voice rings in my ears where he's like, "You better be careful what you say in text messages on the phone because the FBI could be listening." And I was like, yeah. And then they would look into me and they'd be like, "She's bored."
They're listening to all of us, but they don't care about 99.9% of any of us.
Yeah. They're like, "She's boring. Who cares?"
Yeah.
Like we're not going to pursue this.
It's always so funny when people are like.
And all of a sudden I'm locked up abroad. So
Yeah, don't do it in Indonesia.
Okay, well.
That's the place where if you spit on the sidewalk, they'll cut your hand off.
Yeah. Or
No, not really.
Oh, that's what I've heard.
I don't think so.
and I just agreed. I was like, yeah, that sounds right.
Indonesia, I thought it was Indonesia, though. It's like the really strict, like you're not allowed to chew gum.
No,
Well,
that's Singapore.
Singapore.
But I don't know. I also don't think that's true. I think that's a common myth. I'm pretty sure.
So you're telling me Burn Notice lied to me.
Brennan's favorite show lied to him. Wow, Brennan, you're gonna have to rethink some things.
You can still, one of the best things I did learn about that show is if you want to open a padlock, you can take an air compressor, like a duster, flip it upside down and spray it. Because it's, what is it?
It's like
frozen?
carbon.
Carbon. Yeah, but it's the chemical that comes out. It's carbon, not carbon
dioxide,
no,
monoxide,
something like that.
Monoxide.
But it freezes.
Trioxide.
It freezes the lock, and then you just hit it with a hammer.
Oh.
I will pay good money to see you do that.
I've done it.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I saw it on Burn Notice. I was like, "There's no way that works." And I went outside and I did it to a padlock, and it just shatters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so fucking
Dude,
cool.
did you film it for TikTok?
No, this is when Burn Notice first came out in 2005, before TikTok.
Okay, that sounds like a weak excuse, but okay. So,
Huge shout out to Jeffrey Donovan. Thanks for teaching me stuff.
Always welcome on the pod.
He's had some problems, if you know what I mean. So maybe not welcome on the pod.
jeez. All right, well, you invite him on the pod, and then you have a sit down with him.
Yeah, you're doing Law and Order now in New York. If you want to come on and
Come to Jesus.
according to his arrest record, he has some drinking stories. You know what I'm saying?
He knows about flirting through pipes.
These pipes.
Okay, sorry, I was like trying to
Terrible.
find. I was like, did I miss? Okay, so
We're nude.
we're nude. We're streaking. We're
Well, they're still playing the game.
oh yeah, they're still playing the whole time. They're still playing.
Awesome.
And I feel like, so it's crazy because you're like, oh, this is a little wild. Like, these guys are just trying to put in a hard day's work at the office. Like, maybe we leave them alone. Nah, fuck that. But they're still like, they're playing. And at about the fifth inning,
God, I can't not believe they got through 5 innings.
oh yeah,
That's insane.
They
And
get
baseball
through-
innings? Ooh.
they get through 9 innings, but we're going to get there.
Okay.
So the fifth inning, they start having supply and demand issues, economics. So all the concessions, they run out of beer. So what they do is they bring up the beer trucks.
No, you just stopped serving beer.
Oh, no, Brennan, come on.
No, and there's more dimes to collect.
Yes, so many more dimes, pockets full of dimes. So they bring out the beer trucks and they just park them outside the gate.
Oh my God.
So,
It's like a fire hose. They're just spraying.
well, so who do they have serving beer to 25,000 people?
Oh, I remember this.
Is it big burly guys that kind of keep things going in order? And no, it's 2 teenage girls. One is collecting the money and one is filling up the cups. So
2 teenage girls for 25,000 people?
yeah. That's from what my research says. It like sounds like they were all coming to this one.
So you would get 6 beers at a time because you don't want to get back in that line.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and so in between innings, people were running across the field to the beer trucks, getting their beers and like running back. And this while, like there's still a game going on.
Yeah.
no one
So
gives a fuck.
these girls are trying to fill up beer as fast as they can. Obviously, like tensions are really high. The crowd is rowdy, whatever. So they did what they had to do, which was walked away.
Just
Yeah.
let them serve themselves?
Just
Look,
walked away.
I get it.
Fuck it. Bye. And
I'm gonna say it. I'm proud of them.
I'm
yeah,
proud of them.
absolutely.
Drop your
How many
boundaries.
times, especially in our industry, where you're like, you get triple staff for the 3rd time, you're like, I think I'm just going to clock out and go home.
Yeah, you're like,
this, I'm not
fuck
I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah. And so they were in the weeds big time. They walked away. So it went from 10-cent beer night
To free
beer night. So they hoisted up a table and put it like on top of the beer truck so like they could have easier access to the taps.
Oh, well,
And-
they were being inventive. That's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
I'm impressed. Like if I were 5 beers deep, I don't think I could like hoist a table to make a beer
Or-
Some
bridge.
engineers, some out of work engineers in the crowd.
Seriously, they're like, I used to be an engineer for that factory over there, and oh boy, I learned a lot. So, they're running across the field to get more beer, and so at this point, the game did like a little like Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, where it's like, "Hey, you're funny," and he's like, "Oh, I'm funny."
I'm funny? Like a clown.
Oh, like funny, like I amuse you, and you're like, "Oh, fuck!" Like, so that's kind of the tone of the game does that shift, right?
Yeah.
Good times, great oldies.
Now we're getting...
Oh, fuck. So,
Everyone has that moment, that line.
Yeah.
When you have one drink too many and then
yeah. And then you see everything happening around you and you're like, oh no,
this is bad.
this is bad.
I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
now.
Like, how the fuck do we get out of here? So,
New York
Leron-
subway's a lot like that too. You
when you get on a car and you're
yeah,
like,
it's especially late night and you're like, oh yeah, we're fine. And then by like the second stop, you're like, oh, I need to switch cars.
Yeah.
Like
Just
now.
walk through. So, Leron Lee of Cleveland hit a line drive and hit the Rangers pitcher, Ferguson Jenkins, right in the stomach.
right in the tummy?
Right in the tum-tum. Yeah. But caused him to fall to the ground. He didn't barf or shit. So good for you,
Good for you.
Ferguson. The fans in the upper deck of Municipal Stadium were like, hit him again, harder. Like they're
out for blood.
Yeah, they're out
So
for
fun.
Did he
know,
look up
right?
to the? Did he look up to the stands and go, "Are you not entertained?"
I don't think so, but I will look back into this. So
That's where Russell Crowe got it.
as the game
Russell Crowe was
continued,
at 10 Cent Beer Night.
oh my God,
Oh,
that'd be
that's
amazing.
the best part about Disco Demolition is that like one of the random fun facts is that Michael C. Hall was there
Oh
from like Green Mile.
The actor?
yeah.
He was like there as a kid. He was like, yeah, I stole
Michael C.
I
Hall
stole
from
a bass.
Dexter.
Oh, or am I thinking Michael? Who am I thinking?
Michael C. Hall is the right one. Dexter is
That's Michael C. Hall.
because isn't Michael C. Hall in?
Pause for IMDb.
Yep.
Oh, there's no pauses. This is a mistake.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's Michael C. Hall.
Yeah, you're right. Michael C. Hall is in Dexter.
Okay.
But is it the one I'm thinking of? Who's also in Green Mile?
I think he would have been a little kid in the 70s, Michael C. Hall, right? Oh, maybe he's like 50.
Are you talking about Michael Clark Duncan?
In fact, I am.
Yeah, nice.
So
Great job.
Very different.
How different, though?
Absolutely.
Michael Clark Duncan has probably 10 inches on Michael C. Hall and about 140
He's like this
pounds.
giant dude.
And he's also black. He's also black.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is different then. Okay. All right. Well,
One of the saddest moments in film, Michael Clark Duncan in the movie The Island with Ewan McGregor.
yeah.
Isn't that the movie about the clones?
Yes.
Yes.
I only know it because of How Did This Get Made? I've
Oh,
never
really?
seen
Yeah.
it.
It was on TNT one time and I was flipping back and forth, but there's a scene with Michael Clark Duncan where he dies, spoiler alert, in the very beginning, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like weeping.
Yeah,
Because they
he's
don't
so
realize they're
scared.
clones, and
Yeah.
he's like screaming to see this giant man like, oh, I'm so scared. I was like, oh, I'm scared too, Michael Clark Duncan.
And they only have like a 5th grade education or something.
so they
like
don't know
that,
how to
they-
express.
Yeah, like he has no idea what's
He's
happening.
just like screaming and crying because he's so scared he doesn't want to die.
Isn't that like also? No, I guess not. Never mind.
Okay. Okay.
So back to
They're out for blood. They're like, hit him again harder. The game continues and the fans continue to like throw hot dogs.
I don't understand how they're not just calling the game.
Great question.
The show must go on.
The show must go on, and it does, but it just gets worse.
Nice.
So they're throwing hot dogs. One of the Rangers players, I watched this like little clip. He was like, I probably had like 15 to 20 pounds of hot dogs thrown at me.
God.
And I've never heard of like a hot dog measurement being like in pounds.
Pounds? Yeah.
It was like,
How many wieners is that?
that's got to be so many.
Well, if they
There's
weigh
hundreds of
if they
wieners.
weigh a few ounces each, so what? 2-3 wieners makes a pound. So that's
At
2 or
least
3
30
times 5. Yeah.
Sorry.
At least 15 to 20
I'm
would
sorry
be
this
pounds.
happened to you, man.
They
But
have like a t-shirt cannon for wieners.
I mean, that's kind
Sounds
of
like
what
my
it
ex.
sounds like.
Boo. Wait, I actually need a second
Shoot
to
your
connect
dick off?
it. Yeah, right.
No, she was getting the t-shirt can. for
Oh,
wieners.
oh.
Not that
okay.
ex, different ex.
Good for her. Yep.
Okay, I'm kind of there.
Yeah.
I kind of got there.
So they're spitting on Texas's Mike Hargrove. They're throwing cherry bombs into
That's dangerous.
the Rangers dugout.
Those are explosives.
In like a
Yeah.
contained environment.
And this is in the 70s, so those are like actual
Explosives.
explosives.
So what's funny about this is because they're like, oh, like 10 cent beer night really like was the catalyst to, and I was like, well, they showed up with cherry bombs and firecrackers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I could buy in the 70s, everyone just has a pocket full of firecrackers.
That's true. I wouldn't
Everyone's like,
disagree with that.
I don't know what
rolling
I
around
need
with
these. I'm just a little scamp.
These
in the
are my
70s.
emergency firecrackers
Yeah.
and bottle rockets. And this
Guess we
is-
got to scare some people.
like, what else are we going to do? We don't have to work.
Ah, Jimmy.
Listen.
Did you bring the firecrackers? It's the 70s. We're going to play stickball.
I sure did, Sal.
Think
Let's
I'm in
go to the
wrong
empty
decade.
lot behind my house.
It's like a 20. You got like a 20.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the wrong decade.
Fine by me.
Listen here, see? We're going to go there and we're going to tune up these toonies.
It's the Sandlot, but it's like way more violent.
Yeah.
They're just taking the bat and hitting each other over the face.
So-
How does it end, though?
I'll tell you. So over the PA system, they're like, please don't throw anything on the field. Please stay in your seats. And they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And so they, of course,
Who is this voice of God?
yeah, they just ramp it up, obviously. So they give up making announcements.
Oh,
So,
I'm
like-
surprised it took that long to give up.
Right? So,
This whole story, I'm like, I'm surprised it took that long.
oh, this whole thing keeps going. And
I figured they would just bomb the stadium by
we're
like
now
the third
at the
inning.
ninth inning. And this
Crazy.
is awesome. Miraculously, somehow, Cleveland has tied up the game. So they're not
shit.
only still playing baseball, they're still like scoring.
They're still playing. They're still
like,
trying to play.
That
Yeah.
was the plan.
Actually
they were like,
keeping
we're going to
score.
Yeah.
distract the other team.
And that probably worked. But everything just keeps devolving. Like there's just more and more mayhem. So the ninth inning, a fan runs out onto the field and tries to grab off Rangers player Jeff Burrow's hat. He's just like, I thought it'd be funny. I just ran out there, I grabbed his hat, and then he drops it.
Oh,
And so he
the
leans.
ultimate sign of disrespect.
Exactly. Like the whole crowd goes silent.
Drop a man's hat.
And so he's like, I bend down to pick it up and I look up and Jeff Burrows is standing over me. And I was like, that's gotta be really scary. And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, fuck. And he kicked the fan
Yeah.
really hard in the thigh. Well, in doing this, he kind of like stumbled over his own feet. And
Because again, baseball players, not athletes.
I was like, to Brennan's point, good point, Brennan.
Thank you.
So Billy Martin, the manager for the Rangers. thought that
The fan was attacking him.
exactly the fan was attacking Burrows. So Billy Martin grabs a bat and he's like, let's go, boys.
Yeah.
Leads the whole Rangers team out into the
He
outfield.
turns to the Rangers bench and goes, Spartans, what is your profession?
See, I was picturing like
Oh, oh.
in my head, it was like a West Side Story, like choreographed, like da 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 da.
See, I have brought more
Someone's playing
soldiers
the triangle. Ding, 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 ding.
No,
ding.
he had a bat.
He had a bat. No, he had a bat. For sure had a bat. Led all of them out into the outfield to like defend their player, right?
Oh my god.
And this is like, boom.
Everyone
Hundreds.
Yeah.
C comes down. Yep.
Hundreds of fans. Like, and you hear like the announcers, they're like, I've never seen anything like this. There has to be 200 or 300 people on the field right now. And the, Aspromonte, Ken Aspromonte, stop being bored, Brennan.
I'm not bored.
The
I'm on
manager
very
of
little sleep.
the Indians
This is
was
super
like,
interesting.
oh, we can't let the Rangers fight the
Yeah.
fans alone.
We have to
So
fight.
They go out there.
Oh, now it's like a
This is
pissing
how World War
contest.
II started, by the way.
Yeah.
And World War One. This whole entangled alliances.
1974. June, wait.
Entangled alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cleveland Indians are essentially fighting their own fans.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if the other team, whose name I forgot,
The
even though you
Texas
just said
Rangers.
it, the Texas Rangers, if they are fighting people, then that means they have bigger dicks than the
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians.
Yeah. And
So they need to prove that their dicks are also as big,
everyone's
not
got to
bigger.
pull down their pants and show their dicks. We'll wait.
metaphorically.
Oh,
Metaphorically.
right. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Not.
I mean, there was probably some dick viewing earlier.
Oh,
There were streakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, one of the streakers, like I saw like a still like black and white photo of him and I was like, okay.
Packing.
I mean, like I couldn't see his dick, but he was like taut.
It's
Yeah.
all
He was
that
in,
like
good shape.
radiation from the river on
The
fire.
Well, so that's the other thing too. Is like if you're gonna. So that's my whole thing. Is like because I don't have a very impressive penis. So if I ever was gonna streak, I'd have to do it in like a jock strap or something.
Do you just hold a hand?
Yeah.
While you're running,
That's
Yeah,
that's
that
what
doesn't.
I'm-
Yeah, that doesn't. You just you start running in circles because you only got one arm to
Well,
use.
because that's the thing is like, especially in the grower community can understand this versus the shower community, but there's just sometimes where you just don't get naked. Everybody knows that.
I mean, it could, on the other side of that, like you could be a never nude.
What's a never nude?
Oh, a never nude is like people that are never naked.
Like Arrested Development.
Where David
Tobias
Cross's
Funk.
character showers with his jeans on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jorts?
So good.
It's a real thing.
God.
Yeah, check it out. So, to wrap this whole thing up, Ken Aspromonte leads his players out, and
Charge.
he's like realizing that some of their lives were in danger. He told his crew, he's like, let's get out there.
He's like,
So-
there have been bombs in the
building.
Yeah,
in the building, but
maybe-
now we're in danger.
So, they literally were fighting armed fans. So,
Fuck yeah.
what were they armed with, you ask? Great question.
Beer.
Definitely beer, but that...
Seats.
Inhuman drunkard strength.
Pulled out seats.
So, knives, chains, fireworks, parts of stadium seats
Wow.
that they had fashioned into weapons.
Excuse me. That was my first go-to because I was like, oh, if I was at a stadium and someone charged me, I would just rip the seat out and fucking...
That doesn't
Crazy.
occur to me to ever rip something off a state. Like,
Yeah, well, some of us think differently.
some of us more creative, Amanda. Yeah. Making weapons. So they have all of this shit and they're just like hitting players. Like, one guy took a folding chair to the head.
Fuck yeah, he did.
Like, it was just an all out.
Cue the Stone Cold music.
Someone has a
riot.
vase from out of nowhere.
Na-na-na-na-na.
He's like, I brought this from home. So bases were stolen, which I think we all know that's really hard to do.
Yeah, they're in the ground.
Yeah.
Really pretty far,
Yeah, they're
right?
drilled in like a foot down.
Yeah. So
Michael Clark Duncan, though. They steal the bases.
there you go. So the rioters pelted the players with cups, rocks, bottles, hot dogs, radio batteries, popcorn containers, and folding chairs. The umpire, Nestor
good.
Shellac, eventually called the game as a forfeit in favor of Texas.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Shellac was hit in the head with a stadium seat. Also, like,
Forfeit this, asshole.
yeah, he was like, you know what? We are done now. We're done.
So how did they stop? Because we got to wrap up soon. How did they stop? How did they contain it?
So, riot police were called.
Fuck yeah.
Sure.
SWAT team was called.
4
and
hours too late, but
They
yeah.
eventually tear gassed the whole
I said
field.
bomb it, but they tear gassed it.
They
I
tear-gassed
knew
it.
You, and in a case like that, you have to do the whole thing. There's
Yeah.
no,
Oh, yeah. They cut the lights and like evacuated everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God.
Well,
You cut the lights and just shoot in tear gas.
so Dan Coughlin,
They'll go home on their own at that point.
and they did.
Yeah.
So Cleveland sports journalist Dan Coughlin said that everyone had left. Like the lights were out, like everyone had been evacuated, but there was like 15 teenagers standing on the Rangers dugout, like on
that's
top of
awesome.
it. And they were like,
love them.
come back out here, you bussies. And like they're just shouting at the Rangers to come like finish the fight. And he goes up there and he's like, guys, what do you do? Like
Everyone's gone.
They're gone.
Go
They're not even
home.
here. Like, go home. And one of the kids like reached out and just like punched him, like popped him right in the face. And he said, quote, "It didn't even stagger me. The kid hit like a girl."
I bet.
I don't like the sexism behind that, but he's like, you little bitch.
I bet they were like, oh, we were waiting online for beer when all the fun stuff was happening.
So we missed the tear gas and everything.
Tear gas? Have you been tear gassed?
I have not. Have
Have
you?
you been tear gassed?
No.
It's not fun.
No?
Oh, I
What
can't
happens?
imagine.
I was just like
It
breathing in
burns.
fire, ammonia.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
I've been maced more than I've been tear gassed, but I've been
Stop bragging, Brennan.
mace is the fucking worst. Pepper spray, mace, that's the
I
worst
need to get me some of that shit.
because it doesn't
I
get
guess
out. The ones that the cops use are like a gel,
Ugh.
so it doesn't come off.
Ew.
No, it just sticks right on your face.
Mhm.
Oh, God. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's like super hard to get out.
We
too.
did. I was bartending in San Diego, and we had like these big open air windows on the front of the restaurant, and somebody had like cruised by and sprayed like mace or pepper spray or whatever, and so all of a sudden everyone's like,
Oh yeah.
and then all like a whole restaurant. There's like 200 people in there. Everyone's like, like dying. off.
Capsaicin, that shit'll fuck your day up.
Dude, it fucked up like 200 people were just like.
That's the chemical that makes things spicy is
Yeah.
capsaicin, and
Yeah.
you get it in its rawest form. That's what they use in pepper spray.
Yeah.
That's
It's
so
just,
insane.
it's like the hottest of hot pepper, like just
Yeah.
the boil. It's like an extract of
It's
pepper.
like if you ever like cut pepper and then like touch your eye accidentally. It's like
Oh yeah.
probably that.
Don't touch your eye.
times
Don't touch your vagina.
A million. Oof.
Don't do it.
You've
don't
done
do
that
it.
before?
Yeah. Anyway, so the kid hit like a girl, didn't even knock Dan Coughlin down. That's that. The day ended with 60,000 beers being consumed, probably more. 19 streakers, 7 vicious injuries needing medical attention, and 9 arrests.
Wow.
Cleveland vowed to never do 10-cent beer night again
Smart.
until a month later.
They did it again?
Yeah, they kept doing it.
Fucking.
And that is the story of 10-cent beer night.
That is a disaster.
That was a disaster.
That was good. That was a good crossover because we not only talked drinking stories and touched on some of ours, but we also did a disastrous style podcast.
Yay! We did.
So plug everything one more time. Tell everybody where they can find the podcast, everything like that.
Hannah, she has a good list in her head. I'm like,
Amanda's like, now over to Hannah, please.
Google it, I guess.
Well, that's my Facebook plug.
Yeah, Google
So
it.
we are Disastrous Pod on Instagram. We are Disastrous Lee Pod on TikTok and Twitter. And we are like Disastrous Podcast on Facebook.
Perfect.
You can find us just about everywhere you listen to podcasts. Disastrous, DISASTROUS. And, leave some love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
subscribe,
love.
comment, like.
Yeah.
Thank you two so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everybody, for listening at Brennan T. Comedy on social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Check out the sports show, Cheers from the Press Box, and then also the new Positivity podcast with me, Matt Fulcheron, and Daniel Torado called The Power of How. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
We love you and respect you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's fun.